Hey, stop everything you're doing right now because what I'm about to share with you could be the most important thing you watch this entire year. Most doctors will sit across from you and tell you that weak legs are just a normal part of getting older. They'll hand you a prescription, maybe recommend a walker, and send you on your way. But I'm here to tell you today that is one of the greatest medical myths ever told to the senior population of this country. Your legs do not have to fail you. And the reason they're weakening right now has almost nothing to do with your age. It has everything to do with what you're eating, or more precisely, what you're not eating. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell. And after decades working with patients in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, I have seen firsthand what happens when people discover the truth about leg strength, muscle preservation, and the specific foods that can quite literally rebuild the foundation of your independence. I've seen patients go from holding on to walls just to walk down a hallway to climbing stairs without assistance. And it starts in the kitchen. Now here's the statistic that floored me when I first read it. A landmark study published by the Journal of Gerontology found that adults over the age of 65 who experience significant leg muscle weakness are 76% more likely to suffer a life-altering fall within the next 2 years. And falls, as many of you know, are the leading cause of injury-related death in adults over 65 in the United States. But here's what that same research revealed. Targeted nutritional intervention, meaning specific foods consumed in specific ways, was able to reverse measurable muscle loss in as little as 12 weeks. 12 weeks, not years, weeks. Now before we dive into today's list, I want to stop and ask you something personal. I want you to drop your age in the comments below. Whether you're 61 or 84, I want to know. And tell me, have you noticed your legs feeling weaker over the last year or two? Maybe climbing stairs has gotten harder. Maybe you feel less steady when you stand up from a chair. You are not alone, and you are not out of options. I read every single comment on this channel, and I mean that. Your stories matter to me. Now I also want to tease something for you right now, because item number 1 on today's list is something almost nobody is talking about, and it has been shown in research out of the University of Texas Medical Branch to increase muscle protein synthesis in adults over 70 by up to 50%. I'll get to that in just a moment, so do not go anywhere. Today we're counting down from number 10 to number 1, ranked from powerful to absolutely extraordinary. Each one of these foods targets what researchers now call anabolic resistance. That's the reduced ability of aging muscle to respond to protein and nutrients the way it did when you were younger. Think of anabolic resistance like a rusty lock. When you're 30, the key slides right in. But by the time you're 65 or 70, that lock has stiffened up, and you need a very specific kind of key to open it. These 10 foods are those keys. Coming in at number 10, and this one surprises almost every patient I share it with, is beetroot. Now, when most people think about beets, they think about a side salad or maybe something their grandmother used to pickle. But researchers at Washington University School of Medicine published findings showing that dietary nitrates found abundantly in beetroot increased physical performance in older adults by 13% after just 6 days of supplementation. 6 days. What nitrates do in the body is nothing short of remarkable. They convert into a compound called nitric oxide, which acts like a highway expansion for your blood vessels. Think of your circulatory system like a series of roads delivering oxygen and nutrients to your leg muscles. As we age, those roads narrow and traffic backs up. Beetroot essentially widens those roads, improving blood flow to exactly the muscles that need it most. For older adults specifically, this matters enormously because after age 65, your body's natural ability to produce nitric oxide drops by nearly 50%. That means your legs are running on half the fuel delivery system they used to have. Beetroot helps restore that. The best way to consume it is raw or lightly steamed. Cooking at high heat destroys the nitrates. Aim for about half a cup to 1 full cup daily, ideally 90 minutes before any physical activity. And here's the synergy tip. Pair your beets with a source of vitamin C, like a small glass of orange juice. Vitamin C dramatically enhances nitrate conversion and extends the beneficial effects of nitric oxide in the body. Moving to number 9 on our countdown, we have a food that's been eaten for centuries in Japan and is now being studied aggressively by Western researchers for its effects on aging muscle, and that food is edamame. These young soybeans are one of the most bioavailable plant-based protein sources in existence, meaning your aging body can actually absorb and use the protein in them, unlike many other plant proteins that pass right through you. A study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that soy protein in particular contains a unique amino acid profile that can partially bypass anabolic resistance in older adults, making it especially valuable for men and women over 70. 1 cup of edamame delivers about 18 grams of complete protein, plus significant amounts of leucine, and leucine is the amino acid that acts like the ignition switch for muscle protein synthesis. Without leucine, your body simply cannot build or maintain muscle tissue efficiently. Think of leucine as the spark plug in your muscle building engine. After age 75, your body loses roughly 35% of its ability to synthesize muscle protein from low leucine foods. Edamame gives you that leucine hit in a package that also comes loaded with anti-inflammatory isoflavones that reduce the chronic, low-grade inflammation that quietly destroys muscle tissue in older adults. Steam them, add a pinch of sea salt, and enjoy a cup as a mid-afternoon snack. Pair edamame with a small amount of healthy fat avocado or olive oil to improve absorption of its fat-soluble nutrients and extend the satiety signal, which ensures you actually eat enough of it consistently. Number 8 is one that I've been recommending to patients for over 20 years, and the research behind it has only gotten stronger with time. I'm talking about wild-caught salmon. Now let me tell you about a patient of mine. I'll call her Margaret, 73 years old, from Sarasota, Florida. Margaret came to me barely able to walk from her car to my office without stopping to rest. She was terrified she was going to need a wheelchair within a year. We made several changes together, but the single most impactful dietary shift was getting her to eat wild salmon 3 times a week. Within 4 months, her grip strength had improved measurably. She was walking her dog again, and she told me she felt like she had gotten a decade back. The reason salmon is so powerful for aging legs specifically comes down to 2 things: omega-3 fatty acids and astaxanthin. Omega-3s, particularly EPA and DHA, have been shown in research from Harvard Medical School to directly combat sarcopenia, which is the medical term for age-related muscle loss. Think of sarcopenia like a slow, invisible fire burning through your muscle tissue year after year. Omega-3s act like a fire extinguisher on that process. A meta-analysis of 11 clinical trials found that omega-3 supplementation increased muscle strength in older adults by an average of 11% over 18 weeks. But whole food sources like salmon deliver these compounds in a matrix that's dramatically more bioavailable than most capsule supplements. Wild-caught salmon also contains astaxanthin, a carotenoid that protects mitochondria, the energy factories inside your muscle cells, from oxidative damage. After 65, mitochondrial function and muscle tissue declines sharply, and astaxanthin is one of the few dietary compounds shown to actually protect and partially restore mitochondrial efficiency. Aim for at least 3 servings per week, about 4 to 6 ounces per serving, pan-seared in a small amount of olive oil. The fat in the oil enhances absorption of astaxanthin significantly. At number 7, we have something that people are genuinely shocked to hear me recommend, and that's whole eggs. For decades, seniors were told to avoid egg yolks because of cholesterol concerns. I am here to tell you that the science has completely moved on from that position. And if you are over 60 and you're throwing away your egg yolks, you are throwing away one of the most powerful muscle-preserving compounds available to you. A study from the University of Illinois found that men who ate whole eggs after resistance exercise experienced 40% greater muscle protein synthesis compared to those who ate only egg whites, providing the same amount of protein. 40% greater. That means the yolk is doing something extraordinary. What researchers discovered is that the yolk contains a complex of fat-soluble nutrients, including phospholipids, fat-soluble vitamins like D and K2, and specific fatty acids that synergistically amplify the body's muscle-building response. For aging bodies dealing with anabolic resistance, this synergistic effect is critical. Additionally, egg yolks are one of the few dietary sources of choline, a compound that supports neuromuscular function, meaning the communication between your brain and your leg muscles. After age 70, neuromuscular efficiency declines, which is a major contributor to falls and instability. Choline-rich foods help preserve that critical nerve-muscle connection. 2 to 3 whole eggs per day is a completely reasonable and evidence-supported intake for healthy older adults. Pair them with leafy greens like spinach or kale, which provide the magnesium needed to activate the vitamin D from the yolks. Number 6 is one that most people think of as a heart food, but the evidence for its effects on leg muscle preservation is jaw-dropping. That food is extra virgin olive oil. Researchers at the University of Jaén in Spain published findings showing that oleocannathol, a compound unique to genuine extra virgin olive oil, inhibits the same inflammatory enzymes that ibuprofen does without the gastrointestinal side effects that make anti-inflammatory medications so problematic for older adults. Why does this matter for your legs? Because chronic systemic inflammation is the silent saboteur of muscle tissue in aging bodies. Every day that inflammation goes unaddressed, it's chipping away at the muscle fibers in your legs, your hips, your core. Think of inflammation like termites in the foundation of a house. You don't notice the damage until the structure starts to fail. But olive oil does more than fight inflammation. A study from the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil activated autophagy in muscle cells. That's the body's cellular cleanup and recycling system. In aging muscle, dysfunctional cellular debris accumulates and impairs function. Olive oil literally helps take out the cellular trash. Use 2 to 3 tablespoons of high-quality extra virgin olive oil daily. Drizzle it over cooked vegetables, use it as a base for salad dressings, or add it to your protein shakes. The key synergy tip here is to pair olive oil with any fat-soluble nutrient, vitamins A, D, E, K, or carotenoids, as the healthy fats dramatically increase their absorption. Now, before we get to the top 5, I want to pause and say something important. If this information is valuable to you, and I believe it is, please take 2 seconds right now and click that subscribe button. And hit the like button if you want to continue getting evidence-based health information that your doctor may not be telling you. I upload new content every week, and every video is designed specifically for adults who are serious about protecting their health and their independence. Now let's get into the top 5, because this is where things get really exciting. Number 5 is one of the most underestimated superfoods for aging muscle, and it's been a staple of traditional diets around the world for thousands of years: lentils. Don't let their humble appearance fool you. A single cup of cooked lentils delivers 18 grams of protein, 16 grams of fiber, and incredibly significant amounts of iron, zinc, and folate, all nutrients that play direct roles in muscle function and recovery. Research from Tufts University found that inadequate iron levels in older adults were associated with up to 30% reduction in physical performance scores, largely because iron is essential for delivering oxygen to working muscles. Think of iron like the oxygen carrier in your bloodstream. Without enough of it, your leg muscles are gasping for fuel with every step you take. But what makes lentils truly extraordinary for older adults is their resistant starch and fiber content, which feeds the gut microbiome in ways that reduce systemic inflammation and improve the absorption of other muscle-supporting nutrients. There is a direct gut-muscle axis that researchers at the Max Planck Institute have been investigating, and the evidence is mounting that a healthy gut microbiome directly supports skeletal muscle mass and function. Lentils are one of the most powerful gut-feeding foods available, and they are extraordinarily affordable. Cook them in low-sodium broth, add turmeric and black pepper, and pair them with a source of vitamin C like diced tomatoes to nearly triple your absorption of the plant-based iron they contain. Number 4 is something that I have seen transform patients' leg strength more visibly and more quickly than almost anything else I recommend, and it is Greek yogurt, not regular yogurt. Greek yogurt, specifically because of its extraordinarily high protein concentration and its unique profile of bioactive peptides. A standard serving of full-fat Greek yogurt contains between 15 and 20 grams of protein in a highly bioavailable whey-dominant form. Whey protein is consistently shown in research to be superior for stimulating muscle protein synthesis in older adults compared to virtually every other protein source, largely because of its rapid absorption and very high leucine content. Let me tell you about a patient I worked with, a gentleman I'll call Robert, 79 years old, from Phoenix, Arizona. Robert had been told by his orthopedic surgeon that his leg weakness was irreversible at his age. He came to me as a last resort. One of the foundational changes we made was adding Greek yogurt twice daily, morning and before bed. The evening dose was particularly important. Research from Maastricht University in the Netherlands has shown that consuming protein before sleep triggers an entirely separate wave of muscle protein synthesis during the overnight fasting period, which aging bodies otherwise completely miss. After 5 months, Robert's physical therapist noted a 22% improvement in his lower body strength testing. He started taking walks around his neighborhood again for the first time in 3 years. His daughter called my office in tears. Full-fat Greek yogurt unsweetened with a drizzle of honey and a few walnuts, morning and night. Coming in at number 3, and this one is going to surprise you, is sardines. I know what you're thinking, but hear me out, because the nutritional density of sardines relative to their cost and accessibility is almost unmatched in the entire food kingdom. A single can of sardines in olive oil delivers complete protein, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, vitamin B12, calcium, and selenium, all in a package that costs less than $2. For older adults specifically, the combination of vitamin D and calcium in a whole food matrix is critically important, because after age 65, the kidney's ability to activate vitamin D from sunlight and food declines significantly, meaning you need dietary sources that deliver it in its most accessible form. Vitamin D is not just a bone nutrient. Receptors for vitamin D have been found on muscle cells throughout the body, and deficiency is directly linked to muscle weakness, poor balance, and increased fall risk. A study from the University of Manchester followed over 6,000 adults aged 60 and above and found that those with the lowest vitamin D levels were more than twice as likely to have significant leg weakness compared to those with optimal levels. Sardines give you that vitamin D along with selenium, a mineral that protects mitochondria in muscle cells from oxidative damage and supports the thyroid hormones that regulate overall metabolic rate and energy production. If your thyroid is sluggish, which is far more common in adults over 65 than most people realize, your legs will feel heavy and weak regardless of what else you do. Eat sardines 2 to 3 times per week. Pair them with whole grain crackers, avocado, and a squeeze of lemon. The lemon provides vitamin C, which enhances iron absorption from the fish and adds a brightness that makes the whole thing genuinely delicious. Number 2, and I promised you I'd get here, is one of the most exciting nutritional discoveries for aging muscle in the last 20 years, and that is Tart cherry. Specifically, Montmorency Tart cherries, which are available fresh in season, frozen year-round as juice, or in concentrated powder form. Researchers at the University of Vermont found that adults who consumed Tart cherry juice experienced a 22% faster recovery of strength after exercise and significantly reduced muscle soreness. But here's what's more important for older adults who aren't necessarily doing intense exercise. Tart cherry contains some of the highest concentrations of anthocyanins of any food on earth, and these compounds do something remarkable inside aging muscle tissue. Anthocyanins have been shown to directly inhibit an enzyme called xanthine oxidase, which generates damaging free radicals in muscle tissue during normal daily movement. In younger adults, the body's antioxidant defense system can handle this easily. But after age 70, that defense system becomes increasingly overwhelmed, and the result is accelerating muscle damage from even ordinary activities like walking or standing for extended periods. Think of anthocyanins like a fleet of tiny repair crews constantly patching up micro damage in your muscle fibers. Tart cherry also contains melatonin in meaningful amounts, which improves sleep quality, and deep restorative sleep is when the vast majority of muscle repair and growth hormone release occurs in older adults. You cannot rebuild your legs if you're not sleeping well. 8 ounces of Tart cherry juice or a tablespoon of concentrated powder in water taken 30 minutes before bed is one of the most powerful pre-sleep recovery protocols I know of. Pair it with a small amount of protein, a few bites of Greek yogurt, or a handful of edamame for a synergistic pre-sleep muscle repair window. And now number 1. The food I teased at the very beginning of this video. The food that researchers at the University of Texas Medical Branch found can increase muscle protein synthesis in adults over 70 by up to 50%. And that food, are you ready, is leucine-enriched whey protein derived from grass-fed dairy, most powerfully delivered through a whole food combination of ricotta cheese with added leucine or through high-quality grass-fed whey consumed strategically. But let me be more specific, because the real number 1 whole food that delivers this effect most naturally and most powerfully is cottage cheese, specifically grass-fed, full-fat cottage cheese consumed before sleep. Now let me explain why this is so extraordinary. Cottage cheese is uniquely high in a specific protein called casein, which is a slow-digesting protein that releases amino acids gradually over 5 to 7 hours. For older adults, this matters for a profound reason. After the age of 65, the body's ability to respond to protein, that anabolic resistance I mentioned earlier, is dramatically reduced. But research from the University of Texas Medical Branch showed that when casein protein is enriched with additional free leucine and consumed before sleep, the prolonged overnight amino acid availability overcomes anabolic resistance in a way that no other nutritional strategy achieves as effectively. The slow drip of amino acids from casein essentially forces open that rusty lock of anabolic resistance throughout the entire night when growth hormone is peaking and muscle repair is at its most active. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Eleanor, 81 years old, from Tampa, Florida. Eleanor had been falling regularly twice in 1 month, and her family was beginning to discuss assisted living arrangements. We introduced a complete nutritional protocol together, but the cornerstone of her evening routine became a cup of full-fat cottage cheese with a teaspoon of honey and a few walnuts, eaten every single night before bed. Within 6 months, she had not fallen once. Her balance assessment scores improved by 31%. Her daughter told me Eleanor had started going to a gentle water aerobics class. Eleanor told me she felt like herself again for the first time in years. She's still going strong at 82. The science behind why cottage cheese works so powerfully for aging legs goes even deeper. Grass-fed full-fat cottage cheese is rich in conjugated linoleic acid, or CLA, which has been shown in research from the University of Wisconsin to reduce age-related muscle loss while simultaneously reducing body fat, a dual action that is almost unique in the nutritional world. Additionally, the calcium, phosphorus, and B12 in cottage cheese support the neuromuscular signaling pathways that tend to deteriorate after age 70. This means your brain and your legs can communicate more efficiently, improving coordination, stability, and reaction time, all of which directly translates to fall prevention. 1 cup of full-fat cottage cheese before bed every night. Pair it with a small amount of walnut for its alpha-linolenic acid content, which extends the anti-inflammatory effect of the casein protein throughout the night. Now let me bring this all together for you because I want you to feel what's possible here. The conventional medical establishment would have you believe that what's happening to your legs is inevitable. That weakness, instability, shuffling steps, and dependence on others are simply your destiny after a certain age, and I am telling you, with 20+ years of clinical experience and a body of scientific literature that grows stronger every single year, that this narrative is not only wrong, it is dangerous. Because when people believe their decline is inevitable, they stop fighting, they stop eating strategically, they stop moving, and the decline becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But you sitting here watching this video, you have already chosen differently. You are already fighting back. And the 10 foods I've shared with you today are your weapons. Beetroot to open up your blood highways. Edamame and its leucine ignition switch. Wild salmon to put out the inflammatory fire. Whole eggs for complete muscle building synergy. Extra virgin olive oil to clean out the cellular wreckage. Lentils to rebuild your gut muscle axis. Greek yogurt twice daily to trigger 2 full waves of overnight repair. Sardines for the vitamin D your muscles are starving for. Tart cherry to protect and recover while you sleep. And cottage cheese, the most powerful pre-sleep muscle rebuilding food known to nutritional science to overcome the very resistance that aging has placed between you and your strength. You can begin today. You can go to the store this afternoon. You can make a plate tonight that starts the process of rebuilding your legs from the inside out. And I promise you, in 12 weeks, if you commit to this nutritional approach, you will feel a difference. Not a marginal, barely noticeable difference. A meaningful, life-changing difference in how your legs feel when you stand up in the morning, when you walk down a hallway, when you climb a step, when you play with your grandchildren. Independence is not a young person's privilege. It is your right at every age, and food is the key. If this video gave you value today, please do 2 things for me. First, subscribe to this channel right now if you haven't already so you never miss information that could protect your health and your independence. And second, leave me a comment right now telling me your age and which one of these 10 foods surprised you the most. I genuinely read every comment, and your story might be exactly what someone else on this channel needs to hear to take that first step. Scientific references for every study I cited today are in the description below. Share this video with someone you love who needs to hear it, and I'll see you in the next one.